Well, come on along and welcome aboard. Thanks a lot for taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you. As always, Jake's at the wheel. Keep us on the track. Hope you're ready for our Friday. That means it's the end of the week, baby. The weekend is here, and I'm more than ready. Hope you've had a great week, and it's time to get to it. But a lot to talk about on the program today. Of course, it's Friday. The Toddfather, Todd Leary, should be with us. How about Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Maven? A lot to talk about with Tom. He's got an article out today talking about the starting quarterback position, that it should be Michael Penix. A lot of us talk about it. He put it in writing. We'll talk about that today. There's lots going on in the sports world. I think my Reds won last night. Kind of a rarity to see. Not really, but. Text into the show from Tim. Kyle Schwarber made Cubs history on Thursday night by hitting his 100th career home run for the Cubs. The fewest games to get to 100, beating out Chris Bryant, who held that mark previously. Also, Nick Westbrook, and Donovan Hale tops in the Big Ten for deep pass receptions. Westbrook is number 1, Hale's number 5. We're going to talk to Tom today about the article he's got out. I mean, the quarterback battle is – I think the quarterback will be named by Monday. I personally do. But what do I know? They're having a scrimmage on Saturday, or as they like to call it, preseason game number 2. According to Tom Allen. We talked to him yesterday, as a matter of fact. And it was kind of funny. The very first thing that he had to say, of course, was in regards to the quarterback situation, since that's what everybody wants to hear about.
Player update question on Bedford with some.
Tom, why don't you open up with a statement?
All right, just before anybody asks, no update on the quarterbacks. So get that out of there. But Antoine Whitner is officially here and cleared and good to go. So obviously it was a long journey and process, but really proud of him and his perseverance. So he's with us now. So that's our final piece of that class. So everybody's on campus together. So really, really pleased with today. Had an off day yesterday and thought the guys came back with good focus, good energy, no sluggishness in them from the time away. And I thought they came back with a good mindset to get some good work in today. Went full pads and got a lot of good live goes in, especially on the goal line. Some good teamwork. So I thought it was a positive day. Just got to keep building, stacking one on top of the other. Questions?
How is the energy maintained at this point? Because I know you get to middle of camp, it can dip.
There's no doubt. I will say this. I think we got the boost was the new locker room. I think that came at the perfect time, to be able to have this is definitely the week where you kind of hit a wall, especially the freshmen. They're going through this for the first time, and then you can kind of see it starts kind of, all the install kind of builds, and it gets a little bit confusing, and everybody's still barking at them, and then they're getting tired mentally and physically. So that's why we, positioned the Lake Day that we had yesterday at this time of the camp, so you can give them a chance to not just get a physical break, but just get them out of their dorm rooms, out of their apartments here that they're in every night, and get them in the hotel there on Lake Monroe and just have a nice, relaxing day. Kind of hanging out, chilling with each other. And I also like the fact they they're together, they get all the meals they need to get, they get the hydration they need to get, our string staffs with them the whole time. So that part's good. So I think that helps, to kind of push us through. And then, like you said, the locker room reveal Tuesday night was a big boost for the guys. They're fired up to be in there. And so now they're officially functioning out of that area. And so, but yeah, it's part of that camp where you got to push them. You got to push them through, and you got to help them, see the light, because there's not a lot of light yet, because there's still a lot of time left without, the end is not near yet. So I think it's a critical time. We cannot afford to miss a day to keep getting better. And that's why every rep is critical. And I just keep hounding our guys about that and preaching that to them, our coaches, our players. And I thought they responded well today. Sometimes you don't know how they're going to come back. And we do have some maturity to us, which showed today, I think, and their ability to have a really good practice.
Another player update question on Bedford. We saw him go down the other day.
Yeah.
There's Coach Tom Allen talking. We'll hear more from Coach Allen. But this Saturday, they're having that scrimmage that I talked about. I think that is going to be the final judgment day piece for them. I think they want to name a quarterback. They don't want to wait till the week before, although that's nice to give them that week. They want to give him as much time as possible. They want this team to have as good a chance to be as good as they can be. And the sooner that quarterback is named, the better off they're going to be. And to be honest with you, why wait? It's Michael Penix. Michael Penix has a much higher ceiling. Peyton Ramsey is at his ceiling. We've seen his ceiling for the last 2 years. He's a great backup quarterback. If you have to bring him in, you're not going to have a lot of drop-off. You know that he can do what needs to be done. He just doesn't have the tools to do everything that can be done. Great kid. Great quarterback. But he has his limitations. We've seen that. Michael Penix might have a deeper basement. He may be prone to make a mistake or two more, but his upside is so much bigger. His capabilities are greater. Therefore, you expand the opportunities of the team. And with that text in from Tim showing this deep wide receiver core with guys like Nick Westbrook and Donovan Hale, Ty Freifogel, other guys that are doing that they're waiting for that ball to hit their hands. You got to have a guy that can get it to him. Michael Penix is that guy. He can get that ball. Not only can he get the ball downfield, he can get it down there in a hurry. We talked about yesterday making those throws across the field, even though it's just a 15-yard out, but making it with the zip and the pass to get there quicker, not allowing the defense to break on the ball and make a play as much. I'm not saying Michael Penix is going to be perfect. He's not. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to throw interceptions. But his upside is big. You can't limit yourself. And with Peyton Ramsey, you are limiting yourself. There's a reason that he came in last year. There's a reason Tom Allen brought him into the Penn State game last year. There's a reason. That reason has not gone away. This football team, to make the strides that it needs to make, that it has been making, to continue with that, they've got to make this call. Peyton Ramsey cannot be the starting quarterback for this team. That's my opinion. The earth is not going to collapse if that's the case. The world's not going to stop spinning. But do you want to beat Ohio State? I mean, seriously, it's that simple. Do you seriously want a chance at beating Ohio State, or do you want to lead them going into the third quarter and then fall off? Or do you want to have a chance to beat them? Michael Penix. Easy for me to say, but it is easy for me to say. It's easy for a lot of people to say. We'll talk to Tom Brew about that today. But to me, there's no doubt. We'll hear more from Coach Tom Allen later. Hey, today also, dedication for the Fowl Family Golf Course. It's not opening up yet, but they are having a dedication at 1 p.m. out at the golf course. I'm going to try to zip over there from football practice. Text into the show, can you imagine what Westbrook and Hale could do with a deep pass quarterback? I will take mistakes and long ball touchdowns. That's exactly what you're looking at. Exactly. with Michael Penix. It's a tough decision for Tom Allen. I get that. He has a sense of loyalty to Peyton Ramsey. Peyton Ramsey has served him well. But that's part of being the head coach, making those tough decisions. Making those tough decisions that benefit the team. That's the difference. Peyton Ramsey at quarterback does not benefit the team. Peyton Ramsey at quarterback does not put them in a position to do things that they haven't done for the last 2 years. I think that just having to make that public is hard for Coach Allen, and I get it. He's a solid guy, and he knows it's going to be pretty tough for Peyton Ramsey to take, because once Peyton Ramsey loses that starting job, it's over. Next year, he won't even be the number 2 quarterback. He'll be the number 3 quarterback behind Jack Tuttle. The only thing keeping Jack Tuttle out is he's just behind. He hasn't been there long enough. It certainly isn't talent. But you have a very, very solid backup quarterback that can be brought in if need be in Peyton Ramsey. He's a good team leader. He's a good teammate. How about the new locker rooms? Did you see that? You heard Coach Tom Allen talk about that. A boost. They were off from practice on Wednesday, headed out to the Lake Monroe, right out here near the golf course at Eagle Point Studios. Just relaxing. Back at it yesterday. They're back at it today. And we'll be out there to practice. I wish we could go to that scrimmage. They opened up the scrimmage last week, but they didn't tell anybody. We didn't know about it. So nobody went. Hope your day is going well and ready for the weekend. I sure am. Today's right now, as a matter of fact, the Beerman Scramble. It's out of Valley View Golf Course, Floyd's Knobs. Benefit for the Beerman family. Hope they're having a good time with that. Tom Brew's on the show today from the Sports Illustrated Maven Network. He said he's got that story out that he thinks that it's going to be Peyton Ramsey. We'll certainly get the opportunity to find out, right? Absolutely. I'm ready for some football, baby. There's preseason games on. NFL preseason games are the biggest waste of time. Nobody wants them. The players get hurt. You lose your players for a year. Oh, it's just nobody plays past the first quarter. What's the point? It's pointless. Stop. Nobody cares. Well, I guess there's some people that will watch no matter what, just because they have the uniform on. I think there's 4 preseason games. None of the NFL coaches like it. They hate it. Cracks me up. You saw yesterday, we talked about it a little bit. The allegations that Nike was hatching a plan to pay high schoolers. Again, they were just hatching the plan. There was no allegation whatsoever that plan came to fruition, attempted to come to fruition. They were just hatching the plan. So I asked, well, what's the crime? What did they do? They were talking about being jackasses, but they weren't jackasses. I talk about being a jackass every day. Hopefully I don't do it. There's a difference between talking about it and doing it. It's just good fodder. Romeo Langford was mentioned. Of course, this was a Nike deal, and he was not involved with Nike. I'm not sure that I'm sure the NCAA will form a Rice Commission subcommittee so they can make another recommendation that they change in a week. That's the biggest joke of an organization in the history of organizations. Not the Rice Commission. That's the second biggest joke. The NCAA is the big joke. What a waste of time. What a waste of money. Mark Emmert, Muppet Mark. He is a Muppet. He is a complete Muppet. Every time he is on to make a statement, he looks like the most ridiculously ignorant person that has no clue as to what he's talking about. How this man maintains his job, it's beyond me. I'd sure take his paycheck. I could be a jackass for all that money. Right, Jake?
Yeah, you kind of got a head start, so.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So they'd be doing well for the money. Saw a deal on T. Gray Scales, man. He's with the Steelers. Doing a good job. Boy, that was a great defense. Golly, that was just a really good defense. If that team had, man, Indiana's been just unbalanced when they have a great defense. Their offense has sucked. They had a great offense for a long time. Their defense sucked. If they can ever get it together, this year's offense can be prolific. It's seriously, man, they're set up for success. Still waiting to hear if the decision from Deontay Craig, 3-star recruit from Culver, talked about it with Matt Weaver. You'll hear that. We'll reboot Matt today. It would be a huge get. He's down between Iowa and Indiana, defensive end, very athletic. Played basketball with Trey Galloway up at Culver. I guess plays still with Trey Galloway. Already has an offer from Archie Miller in the IU basketball program to walk on if he comes to Indiana. Haven't seen that in a while. That's skills, man. Because usually when you see a guy that's playing both sports, he's a wide receiver or a quarterback or a specialist. No, not Deontay Craig. He's a defensive end. He's a lineman. Yeah. That means that dude's athletic. Athletic. But we'll certainly see. On the program today, Todd Leary, the Toddfather. We'll talk to Todd the next hour. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Maven Network. You can find his stuff at mavensports.io. Look it up. He's got a piece out right now on the starting quarterback situation. I mentioned earlier, did you see that the new Terry Talent locker room? There was a deal in the Bloomington Herald about football salaries. They've made a quote-unquote investment of late in football. Kalen DeBoer, the highest paid coordinator in IU football history, with performance bonuses, he could hit upwards of $1 million. Looking forward to seeing what he can do this year, man. I have complete confidence in that offense behind Kalen DeBoer's decision-making. But his biggest decision yet is going to come soon. Who's naming the quarterback? I mean, it's ultimately Tom Allen's decision, but Kalen DeBoer is going to pick who the quarterback he thinks is going to run that offense, and I believe that Tom Allen will rubber stamp that this year. Last year was not the case. They all wanted Michael Penix last year, but Tom Allen went with Peyton Ramsey. Mistake. That was a mistake. And it cost him making a bowl game. Yeah, I know he got hurt, but he didn't get hurt in the first game, which he should have started in. Or the second game, or the third game. He would have had experience, yada, yada. We go down that road we want. I'm not doing that. But this year, they're not going to make the same mistake twice. They've got a Lamborghini. You're not going to put regular gas in a Lamborghini. And that's what that would be like. You need a Lamborghini quarterback. We're looking forward to it, though. We got a lot coming up on the program. Like I said, Tom Brew is going to join us today in the next hour, as is the Toddfather, Todd Leary. Next up, we'll hear from Matt Weaver, our conversation that we had. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming up from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, joined now by one of our favorites, most informative men on the plan, Matt Weaver from Peaks.com. Matt, how are you, brother?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
Going fine, going well. We're kind of deep into fall football camp now, about, I guess, kind of the halfway point. And when I tell people that this quarterback race is a true race, it is. I mean, I think that they may start to see who they have in mind, but I'm not sure that yet. I think this is a two-man race between Peyton Ramsey and Michael Penix, only because Jack Tuttle is just simply further behind. He's only been here several months as opposed to 1 and 2 years. And so I think that that's going to help them with some separation there. But here of late, they've been adding new plays, so we haven't really gotten to see guys at their full potential, and that's made it even more a little more cloudier. But they're going to have to come to a decision soon. I think they're going to use this scrimmage on Saturday as a barometer, possibly.
Yeah, I would think so. And I mean, we're about to the point where, you know, obviously, Saturday will be 2 weeks. I think I have that right.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, so. You know, we were getting to the point where it's, you want to get it out of the way. So that last week and a half, you got one guy who's, who's getting the lion's share of the reps, as the first team quarterback and getting that rhythm and everything down with the rest of the team as far as the plays and all that. So, you know, I said that on my board, some people were kind of dubious. Well, is it, it's neck to neck, in my opinion. I mean, when you watch practice, you've been there, they're splitting the reps almost 50-50 with the first team. It's a tight battle. My thought process on it is, and it's obviously my decision to make, but you had one quarterback who's got game experience, 15 practice head start, and Michael Penix caught him in basically a week. And to me, the schedule sets up perfectly for a young, inexperienced quarterback that doesn't have a lot of game reps. Because you start off with two relatively, I don't want to say easy, but easier games, manageable games, very manageable games. And to me, man, if you don't get him a lot of reps in those first two games, it just seems like you're kind of stunting his growth as a quarterback.
I agree exactly. I think it is neck and neck. As a matter of fact, I've been grading on the 10-point must system each day, and I've got Ramsey just slightly ahead, but that's only because I gave him the wins for the last two. That one was a result of a tie, and so I gave it to him as the incumbent. And then the other day we saw practice that was just not really all that great by anybody because they're instituting new plays. So other than that, it's just dead even. But you got Michael Penix with the things that you just added on the addition of he's got a much higher ceiling. He's got an upside that Peyton Ramsey just simply doesn't have, the ability to get that ball downfield. We saw that against Penn State last year. But that's an intangible that has to go into that. So, and he brings a dynamic to the offense, I think, that separates him just in that alone.
Yeah, and to me, you hear about we're going to put the best guy out there to help us win games, and I get that. But are you trying to put the best guy out there to win over Ball State and Eastern Illinois, or the best guy who can maybe beat, who can beat Northwestern, or go to Penn State and maybe pull an upset, or something like that? Win at Maryland. All these games that. Who's the best guy for that job? And, let's be honest, they could probably put me at quarterback and win the first two games. It may be ugly, but they could still probably do it. To me, you don't, if Peyton Ramsey's just slightly ahead at the end of when there's time to make a decision, to me, like I said, Penix has caught him or pretty much caught him after being way, way behind. So, that tells me one guy has kind of hit a ceiling and one guy still has a ways to go to his ceiling. I'm playing the guy that still has the ceiling left to hit in these first two games. My thing is if Michael Penix these first two games kind of struggles, doesn't play great, you're kind of concerned about it. Ramsey has shown that you can put him in midstream. You can play him midstream in the season and throw him into the game. They did that a couple years ago. Maybe you can do that with Michael Penix. We just don't know. We haven't seen it really. I mean, when he played last year, it was more, controllable situations where the game was close or they had a lead or something like that. It wasn't they just put him in and he said, you're the guy. So I would feel more comfortable starting with Penix. And if it didn't work out, switch it to Ramsey, then the other way around, just because you don't know what you're going to get from Penix if you go to him, 2 or 3 games into the season. But, it's their decision. They'll make what they think is best for the team. But we've seen it, and it's, I think the world of Peyton Ramsey. I just think there's a hard ceiling on what he can do. And with Penix, I think it's a higher thing now. Maybe his floor is lower, and that's something to consider. But I don't think it's that much lower, to be perfectly honest. I mean, as good as Peyton Ramsey did last year, he still threw 13 interceptions against only 19 touchdowns. So, barely like a 1.5 to 1 touchdown to interception ratio. And his yards per completion was one of the lowest in the Big Ten. So it's not like he put up otherworldly stats. They were good stats, but they're not like it's not like it was a, all conference type of season.
I agree. And I think that we saw, and I hate to keep referencing the Penn State game, but it's only a really good barometer he had, but Michael Penix made an impact instantly against their defense. It was like, whoa, it stretched them immediately. And it just shows the respect that he commanded because of the arm strength that he has. And with the receiving core that Indiana has, that's something that could be very, very beneficial to an offense that could be pretty daggone prolific. They've got so many good pieces in place. As long as the offensive line can do the job that they need to do, this could be a prolific offense.
Yeah, and it's just not. And you mentioned the deep ball, and that's part of it. To me, the bigger throw is those what I call the intermediate throws that are like maybe 15 to 20, 25 yards, and the throws where or maybe even ones that are 12 yards. Where you've got it, you're on the left hash, and you've got a third and 8, and you got to run a 10-yard out route to the far sideline, and that ball's got to be in there like that. And if it's any kind of loft put on it, it's either going to be knocked down or possibly picked off. That's the difference between the two, in my opinion. I don't think Ramsey has the arm to make that throw. Against Eastern Illinois and Ball State and UConn, Rutgers maybe, but against Michigan State, Penn State, even a Maryland or Northwestern or some of these, that throw, you got to be able to make that. You got to be able to keep moving the chains. You're not always going to be in 3rd and 2s. Hopefully you are, but you're just not. And you got to be able to make that throw to a tight window when you just don't have a lot of space, and you got to get rid of it, and you got to basically throw what I would call like a frozen rope. It's got to be right in there. It's got to be a BB into a little window, and that's where I think he struggles. I mean, he's thrown some good go balls, and he's obviously got some short game accuracy, but those intermediate throws are just as important. And that's where last year they were kind of either a short throw team or 30, 40 yards down the field. There wasn't a lot of intermediate stuff. And that's where your tight ends and your slot receivers come into play. And if you can't make those throws, man, it makes it tough on your offense.
Absolutely. Bill texts in, he's in so agreement with what Matt says about the quarterback spot. I am too. It's exactly true. And that passage you're talking about there from the right side hash mark to the left side of the field, Penix's arm strength gets the ball faster there, so that kind of deflates the defense, keeps the offense on the offensive, and allows them to do some things differently that they didn't really have that capability of. It also, when that ball takes too long to get there, that gives the defense a lot better chance of picking that ball off. But Penix's arm strength, it's not all about going downfield. It's about how quickly he can make plays happen faster, which when a play happens faster, you're going to probably get more yards out of it. So that low percentage that you talked about, it allows the defense to set up a little quicker before the ball gets into play. But there's more to going on in the quarterback side of things too. We have to look at the defense, and the defensive line is going to have to they're going to have to do some things with guys that maybe don't have as much experience. That's probably the least experienced unit on the team, I'm going to guess, Matt.
Yeah, and I would really say really the D tackle. On the D edge, you got a decent, with Alan Stallings, Gavin Everett, Michael Ziemba, James Head, even Lance Bryan has played here and there. He's not totally inexperienced. So the DN spot, I think, has got a little bit more experience. But yeah, inside, other than Jerome Johnson, he's the only guy that's really played an entire season of college football. I mean, Juan Harris a couple of years ago when he was a true freshman played in a few games and then got hurt and was redshirted, and then obviously played at the junior college level last year. And then DeMarcus Elliott's another guy who's at least played past high school. Now, I do think while they lost a lot of experience with the loss of the guys they had inside last year, I think the talent level has increased. I think Juan Harris and DeMarcus. So I mean, in my opinion, if those guys were here, last year and they were sophomores, or even maybe I think they play ahead of some of those guys that played last year. That's not a knock on them. It's just these guys are bigger, they're stronger. I think they're a little bit more talented, more physically gifted. But yeah, there is still some unknown. You're gonna rotate a lot of guys. I mean, Coach Higgins mentioned playing. I think last year, he said he played 10 guys. And I want to say it might have been inside. Maybe it was for the entire line, but he played a lot of guys. And I would expect the same this year. And guys like CO, C.J. Person, those guys. Bo Robbins, seems like he's having a really good camp. Then you got some redshirt freshmen. Jonathan King has flashed to me. Shamar Jones, another guy. Gavin McCabe inside. So they've got some pieces, but to me, the really important position, Juan and DeMarcus can do a good job at the nose, and then you rotate in a young guy maybe every once in a while. Jerome Johnson's a terrific player at the 3 tech, and that's going to free up him and Jonathan King and some of these other guys to really be disruptive up the middle. And, I think they'll be better in the middle, but still, until we see it, it's kind of a little bit of an unknown.
Hey, what's CO's last name?
I don't know. Walnut calls him CO Nofo. That's what I'm
know.
Yes, the defensive coordinator can't say his name either, so if he can't say it, I don't feel like I have to.
Oh, just messing with Matt. He's got one of those names that's, man, you look at it, you're like, oh, crap, heck with that. And you look at thank God
he's a name that you wish you could use in Scrabble.
I'm telling you, man, it'll get you some points. But for some reason, it comes easy for me. Nafoa got to Tatoa. I don't know why.
Okay.
I don't know why, but normally I can't. Normally I'm like butchering it. But his name, for some reason, I just laugh because everybody is, every coach calls him CO. I mean, and of course, he mentioned Womack really gave him that. We were talking to him one day and I heard him say that. I'm like, ooh, that's easy. That's a good one. And talk about the lines, of course, the defensive line we just talked about is going to be critical to how well the defense can do, but also on the offensive line, they're looking pretty good. I just don't know about their depth. And Michael Bedford's the guy you asked about the other day in the press conference about him being redshirted or not. And Coach Allen says, no, he's not going to get redshirted.
Yeah. And I have no idea what their plan is with him. But I tell you what, if it was me, and this is they did this, Kevin Wilson did this, Brandon Ice first year, I might think about putting a tight end number on Matthew Bedford and making him part of my 2 tight end sets because that kid can really play. And my thing is, here's the thing, if you're going to play Matthew Bedford, and that's fine, you got to play him. You can't play him like a handful of snaps every game and basically his this year is not really much of an impact year. I'm not saying he's got to be a starter, but I think he's got to be out there for a decent amount of snaps so you get your money's worth, so to speak. I mean, that if it was me, I'd think about doing that. I really would. Now, maybe he's good enough that it shuffles the line. I would be surprised because this is a pretty veteran line except for right tackle, and Caleb Jones looks like he's having a pretty good camp. I don't think he's in any danger of losing his spot. At least I haven't seen anything to make me believe that. But I would, at tight end, Gary Cooper went down. I mean, he's going to come back, but it's not. You're one injury away at tight end from being a little bit thin. You got Peyton Hendershot, Matt Bjorson, TJ Ivy right now, and then Ryan Barnes for a walk-on has looked pretty good. But I would seriously think about maybe putting a tight end number on Matthew Bedford and sticking him out there. And I tell you what, you put him next to Coy Cronk and Harry Kreider on the left side, you could have some fun running the ball.
I'm telling you, man, he is a big dude, but athletic. And that's the thing that I'm seeing. And that's another thing to ask you. You've seen these guys a lot longer than me. You go back to your days as manager. Not only the depth, but the size and the athletic ability of that size has increased so much for this Indiana football team. And it's something you can physically see. You look out there and you're like, man, those guys are imposing, but they're big. They're not, back in the days, the linemen were big fat guys. That ain't this, man. These guys are big athletes. They're big and they are mobile.
Yeah, when I go back to the summer before Jason Spriggs' senior year when he was in high school and he came down to camp, they camped in the stadium, in Memorial Stadium, and I was down there watching him, and he was 6'7", 200, maybe 45, 50, maybe 55 pounds, basically like a tight end, but they were playing him at tackle, and his feet were just incredible. I mean, you could see his feet, how light they were, and that's what Matthew Bedford looks like, but Matthew Bedford looks that way at 307 pounds. And as I mean, he is. I've seen a lot of linemen in Indiana, and it's been a spot that's been very difficult. It's very difficult for schools like Indiana to get linemen, just because there's not a big supply. I mean, there's a lot of receivers and DBs and running backs out there. There's not a lot of guys who are 6'6" and can move like he can, and the ones that can usually don't go to Indiana, unfortunately. They go to the bigger schools. And I said it on signing day when he signed, I thought it was the biggest get they got, because this is the kind of kid that they struggle to get. And he looks like if he stays healthy, he's got a real shot to be a next-level player. I think he's that good.
And that kind of brings to mind a recruit that they're waiting to hear from right now that kind of falls into that same gap, Deontay Craig from Culver, because this is the kid that's got an offer from the basketball team to be able to play basketball as well. So that tells you the kind of athletic ability that kid has.
Yeah, and I've seen Deontay play football. I've seen him play basketball. Obviously, he's a solid basketball player. He's really good in football. I mean, he got long arms. He's got a frame. I mean, he can play. He plays both ways at his school at Culver, and he could play. I think he could play tight end in college. He'd be a better defensive player, but it wouldn't be a stretch that you could play him as a tight end in college because he's got pretty good hands. He moves really well, but as a DN, he could be a devastating type player for you, especially as a pass rusher. I mean, he's just got that. In basketball, I think where basketball helps with his feet and his quickness and his athleticism. That stuff really translates well over to football. And, Indiana seems to be in prime position for him, but Iowa's still right there. Until it's done, it's not done. So, but it would be a really, really, really huge get. I mean, Indiana, this staff is done. I don't think there's anything else they could have done, they could do to get him. So if it doesn't work out, I don't think there's anything. They've recruited the heck out of him. They were one of his first offers. I think they were his second offer. And they built a great relationship. It's just trying to convince him that, I use the right place for him. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He would be a monster get for this program.
And for people that follow, the ratings, he's a 3-star, and so you can't say only 3-star. But for a 3-star, the impact is much, much higher than that. Getting him would be a big time get. So, and it's bigger than just getting another 3-star for some reason. His talent level is above that. Why he's not really, he should be listed as a 4-star, but his abilities are higher than what he's rated.
Yeah, and one thing about the rankings, I mean, I've always said, and I think the guys who do football rankings do a good job, but it's tough. It's it's not an apples to apples comparison because you're not seeing guys go against each other. Like guys who do basketball rankings, you're seeing, like Romeo Langford and whoever in an AAU tournament, they go against each other. It's real life, these guys might be in a camp together, but it's not football. They're not in pads. So it can be tough. And a lot of times these really good players, they're by far the best player on the field. The guy they're going against is, giving up 60, 70 pounds. To me, once you get into that low 4-star range to 3-star, you could put a lot of these guys in a hat and pull them out. There's not a lot of difference. I mean, look at Micah McFadden last year. He was one of the lowest rated recruits in last year's recruiting class, and he was one of the best freshmen on that team. I mean, that's, I'm not saying that's going to happen all the time, but, I think sometimes people see a 0.83 and then a 0.87 or 0.88, whatever it may be. I don't think there's a big difference. And now it looks like that in the ratings, but I don't think it's a big difference. I mean, it's just somehow these guys have to get slotted where they get slotted, and then it's, beauty's in the eye of the beholder and all that. But it's, to me, you could put them in a hat, pull them out, and there's not a whole lot of different. And Deontay Craig is probably just as good as a guy who's got a 0.91 rating as a 4-star. I think he's like 0.87 something. He's a real high 3-star. There's not a big difference. He's, like you said, you could make a really strong case that he should be a 4-star player. I think he's an outstanding football prospect, and Indiana it'd be great for them to land him.
Yeah, football is especially a sport that the growth, the learning curve, and the ceiling is much bigger than, say, basketball or whatever. So there's so much more room for growth. So it almost doesn't even matter what their rankings are. But we'll certainly find out. Matt, you got anything coming up that the folks need to know about on Peegs.com?
I put a story out yesterday, actually, on an athlete from Georgia, John Tavis Robertson. It's a guy that Indiana seems to be pretty high on. They sent him an official offer, which, if folks don't know, there's all these guys tweet out offers. Well, an official offer is what they can send out on August 1st, and that is when you're serious. A lot of schools send out verbal offers, but an official offer makes it official. I mean, that means it's a real deal. So they sent him one. So it's a guy they obviously like. He can play receiver or DB. But it's still on our front page, and it's interesting. They got 3 receivers kind of, but Javon Swinton from Virginia could go to DB. But you can never have too many of these 5'11", 6'1" athletes, who have got great ball skills. You can play him at corner, safety, receiver. You just find places for them. I don't think you can have too many of those guys on your team. Those are the guys that make plays for you. So, and then going forward, just have some coverage from camp. As we get availability and stuff, I'll have a story out, I think, today on the tight ends after talking to Coach Sheridan on Tuesday. So I look forward to that. But just just some coverage on the team, and recruiting has slowed down just a little bit just because they're almost full. There's not a whole lot of spots left, so it's kind of in a holding pattern for Indiana. They're waiting on some guys, like we mentioned Deontay Craig, and there's some other guys out there, some linemen that they're just kind of waiting on. So it's kind of a holding pattern for right now, but it's not a bad thing to almost have your class done before the season starts. That's makes it a little bit easier during the season to recruit. So that's kind of what folks can look for on our site.
Sounds great. Matt Weaver, we always love him to death. The Dream Weaver from Peaks.com. Make sure you check out everything that he does because it's great. Matt, thank you so much, brother.
Okay, appreciate it, guys. Take care.
You betcha. Thanks, Matt Weaver. We got a lot more coming up. Kevin Brockway, IU's beat writer from CNHI, is going to join us next. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat's back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moyes.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hi, this is AJ Moyes, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Man, fucking Instagram. Cut that out. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Oh, sometimes you get back a little sooner than you thought. Hope you're having a great day. Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat come to you, of course, from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios. Doing some work in between segments. You know, we've been waiting to hear from Deontay Craig, the 3-star recruit. You just heard, talked about him a little bit with Matt there. He's going to be announcing today. So the wait is over, will be over shortly. Hopefully that goes Indiana's way. Chuckling is getting the text in. Oh, man. Good thing that wasn't on the air, right? Oh, it's funny. See, you just get a little hint of the inside workings of what's going on behind the scenes, man. It's always crazy. Jake does such a great job of monitoring that, keeping that finger on the mic button. Man, I was reading. I'm into that the Deontay Craig thing. Text in from Tim. You think Trey Galloway recruited him to IU? Well, it's a good question. I'll tell you when he makes his decision is the only answer to that. If he picks Indiana, my answer will be yes. He recruited him to Indiana, and you can thank Trey Galloway. If he decides on Iowa, I'm going to say he did a crappy job. Just kidding. But that's a big time. There's you go. There's a breaking story for you. Deontay Craig set to make his announcement today, sometime this afternoon. It's going to be the same way that Trey Galloway has done it, the same way as Anthony Leal's done it. Just a little social media. That would be a great get, man. You talk about sending Tom Allen into – I don't think Tom Allen's heart can take that. Not in the middle of fall camp. He's still jacked up. I wish him well. No matter what, you know that Deontay Craig's a good kid. He's not too many kids that come out of the Culver or not. And that's another thing. It's really difficult to have an entire football team and of just great guys. Tom Allen's done that. Not only has he increased the talent level, increased the depth, he's done it with good kids. Now, I don't want to put a jinx on him, me knocking on wood, but you don't hear of him getting in trouble. That's a pretty amazing thing when you have that many somewhat high-strung athletes. But they do a remarkable job, and kudos to those guys. But that's a big decision coming up today, man. That would be sweet for Indiana. Tom Allen would really go that would make his weekend for certain. But, man, if that domino falls, that's kind of really going to put a nice cap on the recruiting that Tom Allen has accomplished. Wow. I'm telling you, as shocking as it is, the most least likely guy to do the job to get that program turned around is looking more and more like Tom Allen every day. And I guarantee you he's the least likely from on paper. No chance. No freaking chance. In reality, doing it. It's got to translate to wins on the football field. I got you. I hear you. I understand. I agree. I don't see how it's not going to. They got the people in place. They have the personnel in place. They have the coaches in place. Now, there's no excuses if it doesn't go well. go well. If it doesn't go that way, but I think it's going to happen. Another text into the show regarding Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his family had a close call on a plane they just landed in, caught fire in Tennessee for this weekend's Bristol race. Well, that'll get you moving. Glad everybody's okay. Yeah, those guys, man, they're always flying in those planes. They zip around all over the place. Good thing that everybody was okay. Tim texts in, I saw where Deontay played Keon Brooks even in a game they played against each other last year. Dude's an athlete, man. When you can play two sports at that level, yeah. You know, we talked with Matt Weaver yesterday about possibly lining Matthew Bedford up at tight end. Well, here's a guy that can make a hell of a tight end. Deontay Craig, although he's a defensive lineman, he's got the feet. If he can catch a ball, my gosh, what a freaking tight end he would be. Big motor, big body, athletic. And from my understanding, Kalen DeBoer likes to use the tight ends. You're going to see the tight ends a lot more involved in the offense this year. But I think you're going to see a lot of guys more involved in the offense this year. He has a very, very well-rounded, all-inclusive type of offense. You're going to see the running backs catching passes out of the backfield, the tight ends getting to the tight end, going downfield, mixing it up, keeping the defenses on their toes. Another change you should see. A change from last year's very vanilla, very boring offense. Gosh, man, how in the world could he have virtually the same last name as Mike DeBoring? We got a lot coming up on the program today. Like I said, Tom Brew from the Sports Illustrated Maven Network is going to join, as is the Toddfather, Todd Leary. Plenty to get to, lots more to talk about. Stay tuned. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Graham. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat. Comes here, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking the beat along for the ride. Jim Coyle with you, as always. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. It's Friday, baby. TGIF. The Toddfather will be with us. Todd Leary. Tom Brew from the Sports Illustrated Maven, proud form also. Join us. We'll talk about his article he just came out. Like many of us, he's selecting Michael Penix as the guy he thinks will be the starter. We'll talk about that. We'll hear from Coach Tom Allen as well. As the football team heading down is... They passed, I'd say, about the midway point of fall camp, but they're having a scrimmage tomorrow, as Tom Allen likes to call preseason game number 2. We're not allowed to go to that, unfortunately, so we won't get to see it, but that's going to go a long way in making that determination that I think is going to be coming shortly thereafter. I know for a fact that they will name that quarterback no later than a week before that game, which is in about a week. I'm not sure they go that long. It may be this Thursday when we hear from Tom Allen again. But I know they want to get to it. I can tell. They want to get the guy picked so they can get into their full-fledged normal routine. They're still in that fall camp routine. But if a team has their starter in place, that routine is a normal routine that will carry forth to the season. Indiana's not to that point yet, unfortunately. Rotating Michael Penix and Peyton Ramsey at the number 1 spot. Jack Tuttle is without a doubt to me going to be the third man in that. He's just too far behind. It's certainly nothing to do with the ability. He's got that in spades. But I fully expect Michael Penix to be the guy. But that's my guess. That's just my opinion. There are several practices we haven't gotten to see. Big news, breaking news, Deontay Craig will be making his decision today on where he will be attending school and playing football and possibly basketball, as if he comes to Indiana, and it's down to Indiana and Iowa. And a lot of times you say, oh, the kid doesn't want to go away. Man, he goes to Culver Military Academy. Going away is nothing to him. But I'm sure picking Indiana would be a gigantic boost for Tom Allen. This kid is he's a hell of an athlete. He's just not another football player. He's got an offer from Archie to walk on to the basketball team if he comes to Indiana. He does not have that offer at Iowa. Maybe that helps. Maybe that helps sway him. He's also got Trey Galloway, hopefully in his ear. chirping the virtues of Indiana University and continuing to play together. And this is the kid that played against the likes of Keon Brooks. He's just a hell of an athlete, man. Wow, what a get that would be for Indiana. That would be just a cherry on top of a big Sunday of recruiting for Tom Allen this season. Certainly like to see it. You can tell that program is going in the right direction. You can tell when you're out of practice and watching it. We had the opportunity to talk to Coach Allen yesterday. He talked about a lot of different things. The first thing he said was, I haven't made a decision on quarterback, so don't ask, basically. Because he knows that's the first question that's coming. Every time he talks, that question's coming. He's tired of answering that question, for one. I'm certain of it. Matthew Bedford, one of their big freshman linemen, went down the other day with an apparent injury, but he was fine. But it was a scary moment. We'll pick up Tom Allen talking about that.
Really, sometimes you don't know how they're going to come back, and we do have some maturity to us, which showed today, I think, and their ability to have a really good practice.
Another player update question on Bedford. We saw him go down the other day.
Yeah, he was fine. He practiced every snap today. He was supposed to, so I was concerned. It ended up being one of those that looked worse than it was, and so he didn't have any limitations today on any reps at all. I think the break came at the right time, gave him a chance to get some rehab in, that it wasn't serious.
Coach, the defensive line, one of the biggest questions, just strictly because of inexperience, but how are those guys handling the fall camp and getting through the doldrums, but yet maintaining the level that you need them to maintain?
Well, I think we're making progress. I thought, when I looked at I haven't watched the film, but looking at the inside drill today, those windows, those creases are getting eliminated with proper technique and being in good run fits. And so those guys are a huge part of that during that period. And I thought that was a really good sign. And I think because there's so many of them, we do have a chance to rotate and keep them fresh. And there's a lot of competition. And all those young guys, they want to play, and they know that playing time is a premium. And so I think that helps. It helps motivate them. They know they got to, the older guy, whoever's in has to know that there's somebody behind them that's trying to take their reps and get their spot. So I think that helps motivate. And I think we got several really highly motivated freshmen that want to play. And won't be able to play them all as much as I'm sure they want, but we will rotate several. So I think that helps. All those variables involved help keep them, growing and learning, moving forward.
There's Coach Tom Allen. Yesterday met with the media talking about the defensive line. I asked him because that's the biggest question mark on this entire team. I know everybody wants to know about the quarterback, but it's not a question mark. The defensive line is a question mark because, as I said there, it's inexperience. There are a lot of young guys they got to march in there. They've got a lot of them, but they're going to have to rotate a lot of the younger guys in, and it all starts and stops with that defensive line on defense. So hopefully they can have a successful season. Looking forward to that. Breaking news, of course, Deontay Craig decision coming for him today. That's exactly the kind of guy they need on that defensive line. Hell of an athlete. And he's an end. And we'll certainly find out. That would definitely make him happy. I look forward to talking to Tom Brew about that as well. But decision coming in regards to Deontay Craig today. So we got that going. There's no news on the search for an Indiana assistant basketball coach. And yeah, I'm worried about a dead period, and they don't have to be in a rush. But a month, that tells me there's something more to it. They're either, if they have a guy, they're either having to talk him into it, or I don't know if he's hung up by, a contract, a current contract that he can't get out of until a specific date. But you don't go this long, not a program of this magnitude, without there being a reason why. And, when you talk to people close to the program, well, they don't need to be in a hurry. It's not about needing to be in a hurry. Because that's the excuse you keep hearing. It's not about that. Nobody said anything about being in a hurry. A month is certainly not a hurry. But after you've reached that long, most coaches, most athletics directors have a list of coaches for every position needed to be filled. So when that time comes, boom, you just go to the list and start going down that list. I mean, it's not that there's a reason to be concerned. No, I'm not concerned about it. But to act like it's not unusual, well, that's ingenuous. It's certainly unusual to be this long. But we don't get a lot of information out of the basketball program. It's tight lips. Tight lips over there. But we'll certainly find out when we find out. Tom Brew's on the program today from the Sports Illustrated Maven platform. Looking forward to talking to him about this article that he's got out today. And he thinks Michael Penix is going to be the starter. I think Michael Penix is going to be the starter. Matt Weaver thinks that. But guess what? Doesn't matter what we think. Well, Tom Allen, Kalen DeBoer, it matters what they think. The Toddfather, Todd Leary, should be joining us as well. Look forward to our weekly discussion with Todd. Feel free to get your questions in. Keep them rolling on the text line, 812-269-6367. And, I know a lot of people listen to the show after the rebroadcast. We're on radio, but they listen to the show as a podcast later. Feel free to write. You can text in anytime. If you've got questions, if you know who the next day's guest will be, or if you just have a question in general, fire it along. I'll get to it. I usually hit you back pretty quick. 812-269-6367. And before I forget, so happy to announce another station on the network. We're on the Bro, WBRO, down in southern Indiana, Marengo, Perry County, Crawford County, Harrison County. Hello to you guys, and welcome to Indiana Sports Beat. We appreciate Tell City. Shout out. Yo, what up? Thanks a lot for joining the network, man. Will keeps things running down there at the Bro. Thank you, Will. But we got a lot to get to. Tom Brew's up next. Stay tuned. We're back with him right after this from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios.
So my bed is tired and bold. All these questions I've collected, it brings the answer to my ear. Because my God has a telephone.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you here, Indiana Sports Beat. Now, I'm about to start a new segment called What's Brewing with Tom Brew. How you like that, Tom?
I like it.
I need to get
Happy
a coffee
Friday
sponsor.
to you, Jim.
Happy Friday to you, man. We need to get a coffee sponsor. We can start doing What's Brewing with Tom Brew. I like that.
There you go. Of course, there's nothing wrong with beer sponsors either, right?
There you go. They brew beer, absolutely. And it is Friday. It's Friday. It's noon somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah, but no, you're right. I could use some coffee right now, Friday morning, to get my day jolted up. So it's going to be a busy one.
Big day for the football program as they get closer and closer to naming a starting quarterback. You've got an article coming out on the Maven platform, Sports Illustrated Maven, that as a few of us have, you think that Michael Penix is the guy, and they've heard me say it, but there's a reason why, and of course tell what there's a difference. There's just a difference when he's on the field.
Well, yeah, I think so. It's the story is up already too, and getting an enormous amount of comments from the Indiana fan base for sure. And for me, I just think there's more upside to him playing. And if they start him right from the get go, he's got 2 non-conference games before Ohio State where he can get his feet wet and get comfortable. And be ready for, some obviously huge Big Ten action right away. But I mean, I think he's proven himself. And I really tried to make the point in writing the story that it's not meant to be an indictment of Peyton Ramsey. I just think they have a better chance of winning close Big Ten games with a quarterback who's a little bit more of a threat than Peyton is. And I think Michael Penix is that guy. And what I've really been most impressed with him is obviously we already knew he had a big arm. He could throw all the passes, and his deep balls are great. His out routes are great, all that. But I've been really impressed with watching him be a leader out there on the practice field these first 2 weeks. He's if a receiver runs a wrong route, he's all over him, and he knows what everybody on the field is supposed to do. If a guy lines up in the wrong spot, he's all over him, while it's happening. And then when the play's over, he's got his arm around him talking to him. I mean, that's what leaders do. And you don't always see that from a redshirt freshman. So I really do think he's ready. And I would like to see them make that call. But obviously, that's just my opinion.
And there was we had a text into the show from Tim earlier that pointed out that Indiana leads, I think, the Big Ten with deep pass threats, and that's nothing that we didn't already know. But when you have guys like Nick Westbrook and Donovan Hale and Ty Freifogel, guys that can catch the ball, man, they can get downfield. But they got to have somebody that puts it in their hands. And Peyton Ramsey is undoubtedly shown that he's more than capable of doing that. That's actually been, I don't necessarily say the knock, but
you said Peyton Ramsey, but I think you meant Michael Penix, right?
Right. Yes, I did. I'm sorry about that. Michael Penix has definitely shown that he can do that. And it's not, again, a knock on Peyton Ramsey, but it's just there's limitations. And we've seen that. We saw it last year, and we saw a 5-7 season as the result. And so it's just, you got to go with what puts you in the best position to win games. And I agree with everything you've said.
Well, I always appreciate that stamp of approval, but obviously what's going to happen, Jim, is it's not our call. The call belongs to Tom Allen and Kalen DeBoer, and they not only know what they're doing, but B, they also understand that there's an enormous sense of urgency to this season, and this has to be a good year for this team. This cannot be another 5-7 season. It cannot be a 4-8 season. It cannot be, God forbid, a 3-9 season. It can't be that. And they have to win. They have to win games, and there's a lot of games on their schedule that are going to be close, and there's a lot of games on their schedule where a quarterback's going to have to step up and make a throw in the fourth quarter to score some points to win a game. And I think I mentioned in my article that with Peyton being the incumbent, if he had knocked everybody dead in practice for 2 weeks and he was clearly the number one, then they would have already announced that he was the number one. But that hasn't happened. He's been okay, and he's been, I think from watching what we've been able to watch, I think he's been very cautious and very conservative with his throws and not taking many chances. And I think the 13 interceptions he threw last year and people being in his ear about turnovers all the time has made a difference. And, I don't know if he's got a big enough arm to make all the big throws when it has to happen, and it's like, at least from a comparative standpoint. Now, that's arm strength isn't the only thing that matters in a quarterback. You've got to have all those other intangibles as well. But I think it's certainly a big tiebreaker, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I know they could go up to the week before they kick off with Ball State before they make that announcement. I don't think they do. I think that they want to – obviously they want to get to it as soon as possible, but it's also – the team needs that as soon as possible so they can get into a rhythm that's going to be their game-type situation, their season-like situation. The sooner they can get to that, the better the offense is going to be so they can get into the rhythm of who's going to be the starter, taking all the reps with the number one unit. Right,
and obviously they're scrimmaging on Saturday, and Tom was very clear yesterday that it's a big day for all of them. They need to show their stuff in the scrimmage for that decision to be made. Now, what I would like to see is if obviously after the scrimmage they can make a decision so that next week they can get some practices in pads full speed. With the number ones, with the guy, because obviously when we get into Ball State week, then it becomes more of a game week of practice where they're not going to have 2-hour practices in pads where they're beating the hell out of each other, just a day or two before a game. So it's so I think for the number one quarterback to get good quality reps with the number one offense against Indiana's number ones on defense, for 2 or 3 live practices like that, I think that'd be really good. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if, come Sunday or Monday, we have an announcement.
And speaking of announcements, a little breaking news for you. I talked with Deontay Craig this morning, and he's going to be making his decision known today. Kid out of Culver Academy's big defensive end that would definitely boost not only the recruiting of Tom Allen, which has gone splendidly well, but man, that would be a spectacular get. This kid is a hell of an athlete. He not only is a defensive lineman, but he's got an standing offer from Archie Miller to walk onto the basketball team at Indiana. Doesn't have that same offer from Iowa, so I don't know if that's could be a deciding factor. He's also got Trey Galloway in his ear, probably because they're teammates on that basketball team. So hopefully that can help sway things for Indiana.
Yep, it's been we've had a lot of good recruiting news with the football guys lately, and I'm sure they'll keep that up. I mean, that is certainly one of those things that's been trending upward here the last couple of years, and I think especially to do that without necessarily great results. Like I said, 5-7 the last 2 years is not where they want to be, but it's they have a good message to sell, and they keep winning a lot of these recruiting battles, and hopefully we'll hear good news from Deontay Craig today.
Look forward to that as well. And before I forget, the article on Michael Penix, where can they find that? Where can the fans find that?
That's right there on my Maven Sports Illustrated website. It's Maven Sports, MAVEN Sports.io/Indiana. And it's easy to find. It's also If you want to find me on Twitter at tombrewsports.com, it's up there as well. And certainly would like all the IU fans out there who listen to your show, the millions and millions of IU fans who listen to your show every day. If they would follow me on Twitter, I'd love it. And I'm also great about following right back, so we can have conversations and interactions and messages all the time too. I love all of that. So you can find me on Facebook as well. I do that, Instagram, all of that. It's all right there. And we're going to be doing a whole bunch of Indiana football, obviously, through the year. And of course, we're just, we're getting to that point where we're about 6-7 weeks away from, talking basketball again, with Big Ten Media Day and Hoosier Hysteria right around the corner, early October. So there'll be an enormous amount of basketball on the site too, and a whole lot of really big Sports Illustrated related items to that are about to be announced here right after the 1st of September that I'm really excited about as well. So looking forward to it. It's been a great response so far to the first 2 weeks of the website, and everybody seems to be enjoying what I'm doing, and I certainly am enjoying it myself. It's great to be back in Bloomington and great to be back around IU athletics.
Absolutely. The basketball program, of course, not a lot of news since Trey Galloway's commitment. They've got 2 more open scholarships, but more importantly, they also have an open spot for an assistant coach. We talked a little bit about this last night, but it's been about a month now, and everybody keeps saying, yeah, they don't have to be in a hurry. I understand they don't have to be in a hurry, and it's not about that. But once you get to this length of time, it's like, okay, there's something holding us up, because you don't go that long without having a person in place. Because it's not just the recruiting aspect, they're coaching. They have to get in, develop a relationship with the current players on the roster that they're going to be coaching. So sooner now at this stage would absolutely be better. But I think there's obviously something that is holding up getting this accomplished.
Well, probably so. But as we mentioned before, but if I had to guess, I honestly don't know why. But if I had to guess, I think the guy that Archie wants is probably got some contractual thing that needs to expire before they can sign on the dotted line, would be my guess. And I may be wrong, but I think that's the most obvious reason why there might be this long of a delay, because there's, like you said, no reason for a delay. But if there is one, that's probably it, something like that. And because I think if it's not a matter of wanting your guy and then him saying no and then going to the next guy and him saying no. I don't think it's been that. So it's because there'd be scuttlebutt around there if people were offered a job and they said no, somebody'd be talking about it. And I don't think that's the case. So I mean, if my guess is he's got his guy, they're just waiting on some contract things, and I would think by September 1st at the latest we'll know something. But I may be wrong, but I would think by September 1st at the latest we'll know something.
Oh, I would definitely think so. Also, Tom's an author and prints his own books as well. But one of the books has been very, very popular. Missing Banners, co-wrote with Terry Hutchins. That book just never seems to go out of style, Tom.
No, it doesn't. We wrote that 3 years ago, Terry and I, and of course, God rest his soul, we missed Terry after losing him last year, and Missing Banners. The Indiana fan base loved that book because we went back and looked at 5 IU basketball seasons where we could have won a national championship but came up a little short, and went back and talked to players and coaches and opponents and relived 1975, 1980, 1992, and 93 together. The 2002 year where we lost in the finals, and then 2013 year under Coach Crean with Cody and Yogi and all them that we were ranked number one in the country, and it came up a little short. And it was just a great read, and I kind of joke that it's a timeless book because there's been absolutely no reason to update it in the last 3 years. We haven't contended since then, but I've written 4 books myself and edited and published 12 others, and of the 16 books I've done, Missing Banners is still my number 1 best-selling book, and still sells like crazy, and just got a little ding this morning even that sold another one this morning. So people are always buying it, and it's a great read. And if anybody ever wants to read it, it's available in every Indiana bookstore still, and but you can also get it online at Amazon, or you can get it online at Barnes & Noble or your favorite bookstore anywhere in the world. And or you can always reach out to me on Twitter or Facebook as well. If you like an autographed copy, I can get you one of those. It's a great read, and especially with basketball season getting close, if you want to have some get some basketball love going for a couple months before the game start. I think if your listeners haven't read it yet, they should. I'm very proud of it, and Terry and I did a great job together, and always honored to have my name with Terry on anything. So.
And of those years of the missing banners, obviously, I think 75 has to be, without a doubt, the glowing, the one that has a spotlight on it more than the others of a championship that wasn't won, that probably should have been won had it not been for that injury. But do you agree with that? But you wrote those books, so is that the case, or do you think it was a different year?
I would say so, because of how close they came. I mean, they never lost a game all year, and then they lose by 2 points to a great Kentucky team without Scott May, and then go undefeated and win the next year. So I mean, they went 63-1 in 2 years, and that was just an incredible team. And a lot of people say the 75 team was even better than the 76 team because of Steve Green and John Laskowski and everything. But it was certainly a great team. But what was great about some of the interviews that we did for that, Jim, is that especially Quinn Buckner, he doesn't give any credence or credit at all to them losing that game with Scott being out, because they really felt like they should have won that game anyway, even without Scott. And they just felt like they didn't play very well. They missed a lot of open shots. Their defense, which was tremendous. They gave up 92 points, and it was just, they didn't play well. And Quinn Buckner was, when I asked him that question about would it have been different if Scott would have played, he interrupted me in the middle of the question, and he said, I won't even talk about that. He said, we should have won that game even without Scott. It's not Scott's not the thing. We should have won that game. And a lot of great interviews in there. And then John Laskowski sort of said the same thing. It's sure, Scott was a great player, and maybe it would have been different, but we still had enough talent to win, and we didn't. And the interviews were great. And and of course, that 92 and 93 group, I mean, I really thought there was a national championship in that, and with either one of those teams at one point. And 92 was just, the loss to Duke was tough in the Final Four, and then 93, that team was so good. Because the Big Ten was just absolutely loaded that year, and Indiana just blew right through it. 17-1 record in the Big Ten, they were crushing everybody. And then Alan Henderson gets hurt and they lose to Kansas in the tournament, and it's gosh, I would have loved for one of those two teams to win, mostly, Jim, because that group of guys in those 2 years, they're some of my all-time favorite Indiana basketball players. And I would have loved for them to be able to walk into Assembly Hall all the time now and see one of their banners up. That's what I feel bad for that group.
Yeah, and we have Todd Leary on with us each Friday, right after you, as a matter of fact, a member that's definitely, to me, one of the greatest teams to not win a national championship. I mean, they had everything they needed, and it just didn't go their way. But to me, they're without a doubt, they're just one of the great teams to not win a national championship, especially when you factor in, you got Bob Knight involved and all that. It's a little shocking almost.
Well, it's hard to win a national championship, Jim. There's a lot of luck that's involved with it, and obviously, I've a lot of my really, really good North Carolina friends, who won. They won the '93 title. They swear up and down that if it had been Indiana, North Carolina in the final, they'd have beaten us too. And a lot of the Michigan people, even though the Fab Five teams, Indiana was 3-1 against them during those 2 years. The Michigan teams, they swear that, they were better than Indiana, so yes, it would have been nice to win a national championship in '93, but there were plenty of other teams that thought the better of that, including Kansas, which, had beaten Indiana during the regular season that year as well. So they've always dismissed the Alan Henderson injury argument themselves, because they beat Indiana in December with Alan Henderson. So, so there are at least arguments, but there are arguments every year. I mean, I think, the college basketball in the last 30 years, I think every tournament you go into, there's 5 or 10 teams that really do think they have a legitimate chance to win the title. So every time they don't, that's one that's missed. And, but my goal on it, Jim, is I just sure hope sometime soon we get to see another Indiana team make a run like that, to challenge for it. Because I would dearly love to update that book with another year here at some point.
Absolutely. Of course, the first thing they have to do is get back to the NCAA tournament, which they've not been able to do for the last couple of years.
Yep.
But
It's going to take a little time, maybe, but hopefully, like I said, hopefully it'll happen. There's a lot of positives to what's going on lately, and we just need a whole lot more.
Absolutely. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Maven. Make sure you check out his article on Michael Penix. Also, if you need a book you need to read, Missing Banners is a good one. Good place to start. Tom, thank you, sir. Look forward to see you out at football practice. Hope you have a great day, man.
I'm sitting in the parking lot right now, Jim, ready to go.
All right, I'm behind. All right, man. Tom Brew to join us. Thanks a lot, Tom.
Right.
We've got a lot
Jim.
more coming up here on the Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. The Toddfather, he's up next. Toddler, he joins us. Stay tuned. Back right after this.
I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. Just like me.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle with you as always. We finally get it right and get the Toddfather's theme, and of course, he can't be with us today. It looks like. I can't wait till he hears that. I hope he gets that. Todd Leary normally with us each and every Friday, but sometimes things come up and he can't. So this is one of those days, it looks like. But we're going to hear from Tom Allen a lot more here in a second. But we just got finished with Tom Brew. Tom from the Sports Illustrated Maven platform. You can find his information there. But he's got an article out today. He basically he thinks Michael Penix is going to be the guy that they picked to play quarterback. And, you heard me talk with Matt Weaver yesterday. Oh, I think we have Todd with us now. So the Toddfather. Todd, are you with us?
I am. How you doing, boss?
Good, brother. You missed your new entry music, man. Almost I have to have Jake do it again, but we have the Toddfather brought us on.
Oh, man. I'll be excited to hear it next week then.
How's your week going, brother?
It's good. It's good. Same old thing going on.
Yeah, you can't complain, I guess, right? Nobody wants to listen.
I cannot.
I talking earlier to Tom Brew, and he wrote a book with Terry Hutchins called Missing Banners. I'm not sure if you ever saw that book, but one of the periods, of course, covered when you were at IU, of course, and I've said that, man, that's just one of the best teams to not win a national championship. Of course, the injury to Alan Henderson hurt, and there are other things that went into that. But the difficulty of winning a national championship, even when you have great teams, we saw last year Duke with Zion Williamson and that crew that had all those number one draft picks that didn't even make the Final Four. I mean, it's difficult. There's not only do you have to have talent, you got to have a lot of luck go your way.
Yeah, I've always said this, and that's why when teams are fortunate enough to win one, I'm living my glory days in high school. But when like back in high school, even though I thought our team was up there talent wise and one of the best teams in the state, you still so lucky. So many different things have to happen and fall and ball bounce your way in order for you to be able to win it. And when teams are that good, college basketball is so talented right now. Seeing the size and physicality and just the overall athletic ability of a lot of these guys, and their skill level has gone up significantly. Just all of the different teams that have really good players, I mean, they all have a chance at winning it. And so the ball has to bounce your way. A call has to go your way at the right time. Just so many different things have to fall in place in order for you to win, a national championship. And it's, I think you and I have talked about this, and that Duke team is probably the most prime example you can get, because they had an extremely talented team with, one of the best coaches of all time. And still the ball didn't bounce their way, and they didn't get the call they needed. Something didn't happen that enabled them to go on and win a national championship. And so that's a prime perfect example of, there's got to be some other factors involved in it. And it's just, you got to not play against that guy who has a career night, and hits the shot that kills you and all that. I mean, just so many different things have to fall in place. It's not just pure skill and talent. Otherwise, there's no way that Duke team would have lost last year.
I'm talking with Tom Brew at that book, Missing Banners. Another, obviously, a banner that they talked about was the 75 team that preceded, obviously, the undefeated season of 76. But they lose Scotty May with an injury that year and end up losing to a Kentucky team that they beat handily during the season. But, he said that in talking to Quinn Buckner and those guys, that they didn't care that Scotty May or not. They felt that they should have won that game. But again, no matter how much talent. But the funny thing is, who should have been on that team? Larry Bird would have been on the 75. Yeah. 70. Can you imagine that kind of talent? And then you add a Larry Bird on top of that?
No, I mean, you can't. It's just so different. It's almost like you and I talk, how we talk weekly about the recruiting and that stuff. Larry Bird, that team gelled together. I mean, that 76 team, I mean, Quinn Buckner was probably, and I say this with all due respect, and I think this makes me actually think that he's better, but I mean, he was the least talented player on that team by far, but probably the most important player on that team. And I've learned that from Coach Knight. Obviously I watched him, but I was 5 and 6 years old at the time. But I mean, that is that team, what Quinn Buckner was to that team. I mean, he was the glue guy, and that's kind of the buzzword that people use nowadays is the glue guy, but he is what made that whole thing go. And I'm not sure adding a Larry Bird, it'd be hard to say. I mean, I think Larry Bird's one of the top players in the history of the game, obviously. So how could you say that adding him wouldn't have made them better? I think it would have had to have. But, they had such a good gel together that you just wouldn't want to screw that up. You wouldn't want anything to have changed what they had. And that was that's the luck of the game. I mean, they should have gone undefeated for 2 straight years. Teams can't do it nowadays for 1 year, but that team should have gone undefeated for 2 years in a row, which would have just been incredible.
Yeah, amazing. I saw a clip with Coach Knight the other day. I don't know how I just happened to see it. He was talking about the Larry Bird issue. If you don't know the story, Larry Bird came to Indiana, was only here like 24 days and was just overwhelmed with Bloomington, which although not a very big city, it was to him because he came from French Lick. But he was overwhelmed and then going back. But Coach Knight said that he should have been more in tune to his situation at the time because I didn't chase him because I wouldn't have chased anybody. I would have chased Buckner or Benson or any of them, and he wouldn't have. But he acknowledged that had he been more in tune to his situation, he had a father that I think committed suicide and with very, very poor background, that he probably would have handled it differently. But he was a young coach at the time himself, and so you can't blame him at all. But it's just the way it worked out.
Yeah, it really is. And that was – I don't think anyone can say Larry Bird's career didn't turn out as good as it could have. So – I think it worked out for everyone in that circumstance. And that's just another really good example of the fact that, even though Indiana fans, and especially me, of course, I think Indiana is the greatest place in the world. And I think basketball wise, from a fan base perspective, I don't know that you could ever, ask for anything more than going to Indiana. But it's just not for everyone. And that doesn't mean someone's not a good person or a good player or doesn't fit in or doesn't play hard or any of those things. It's not for everyone. And so, being from the state of Indiana, I know that there's been a lot of talk lately about Archie being successful, getting players from the state. And, to me, that's a big deal. I mean, those players, we think, those of us from Indiana that get to go to Indiana, we think of Indiana different than a guy from South Carolina or New Jersey or Maryland or whatever might. And that's just because we've always grown up with it. And, I love that side of it. I love that aspect of it. And I think those players kind of know the value of being a former Indiana basketball player a little bit differently and a little bit better than someone who didn't grow up in the state.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it of late. Of course, Archie bringing in a lot of kids that are from the state of Indiana, and a lot of Indiana fans love that. They love to see the Indiana kids, which is great. But they're going to have to find a way to bring in some additional talent, not necessarily from the state of Indiana. One of the things, though, they're also missing is an assistant coach. I was talking to Tom about this earlier as well. It's been like a month now, and I know that with the time of season, the recruiting is kind of in a dead period. They don't have to be in a hurry, but I don't think it's at this point. It's not about being in a hurry. That's a long time to go without a person in that position, whether it's from a recruiting or a coaching standpoint. You've got to develop a relationship with the team and all that, and the season is approaching.
Yep, it is. I don't know that. I just don't know that it's a position you want to hurry up and fill. I mean, I don't mind that it's taken longer. If they'd filled it in 2 days, I would have almost been a little bit questioned the fact that might not be the right guy, because they would almost be filling it because they needed to fill it, rather than I think they're taking their time and taking the approach of they know what they're looking for. They know what role they need to fill. And then, they're trying to get that right guy. And you and I have talked about, some former Indiana players that might have fit that role perfectly, but the timing just didn't work out. And it's, they ended up going a different direction, and it's good for their career and good from that perspective. But, it's just, I'm not worried about the fact that it's not happened yet. They've not filled the role. They'll fill it. And they'll get the guy, Archie will get a guy that he wants to work with and can work with, and that'll serve the program well.
I know you're too busy to keep up with recruiting and everything that goes along with. There's a kid, Deontay Craig, goes to Culver. He's actually a basketball teammate with Trey Galloway, but he's He's a football player. He's been offered a scholarship by Indiana and Iowa. That's his final. He's making a decision today, and it's between those two schools. But with Indiana, Archie Miller has made the offer he can walk on to the basketball team. He doesn't have that offer from Iowa. But did you ever play with anybody who was a two-sport star? Like, I know in high school, all you guys were great athletes and played multiple sports. But at IU, did you play with any two-sport guys?
Yes, we did. But no one who came in that way. We had a kid that joined us. Gosh, I am blanking his name, and I can't believe I'm blanking his name. I can't think of what his name was, but he was a football player. And then after his, I want to say his senior year, he joined us and finished playing the year out with us. And more than anything, like, we needed some bodies in practice. And I guess I hate to say it that way, because then it sounds like that he didn't have skill and wasn't talented. He was a big body. I cannot believe I can't remember his name. He's a blonde-headed kid. As soon as I get off the phone, I know I'm going to remember it. But I mean, it was just he was a guy that joined us. Coach Knight was. I mean, you were all or nothing. So I don't think he was going to, embrace having too many guys that didn't spend the majority or all of their time focusing on basketball, and especially what we needed to do and get done. And, that's just there's freak athletes that can do that. Coach Knight has such a strong focus on the mental aspect of things that it would be very difficult for someone to have been able to fulfill the role for Coach Knight that he was asking for from people. Given a full mental effort that you have to give. I mean, it's 100% physical and mental. So we didn't have anyone that really played a lot or did a lot. We had a lot of managers that subbed in and played practice bodies and stuff with us when guys would be injured or hurt, or for that regard.
Yeah, and just I guess the question I was going to ask is, what kind of dynamic does a guy who's not necessarily just a straight basketball player, what do they bring to the team?
Like a big part of it would be leadership and things like that. I mean, when you can, any experience that you can bring from other aspects of life or other sports teams or anything like that, obviously can be a huge benefit to teams. And there are a lot of things you can bring to a team that are not just scoring baskets or defending guys and blocking shots and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of other things that you can bring to the table, and that's where that's where Coach Knight gets a guy like me to be able to understand that you can be a big part of a team and a big part of a program when maybe physically you're not near as good as strong or fast or can jump as high as a lot of other people can. And the leadership aspect of it and what you can do to help other guys, and being able to be positive with other players and get everybody in the right frame of mind and in the right positions and all that. There's so much more to it than just going out there and being able to knock down a 17-foot jump shot. And that's where, a lot of guys will say, I just didn't get recruited, or I could have played because maybe they can make maybe they can make free throws and make shots and stuff like that. There's just so much more to it. And honestly, going into IU, I didn't even have the slightest clue how much more there was to it. And that's kind of the genius of Bob Knight and what he taught a lot of us. We walked in there all thinking we knew everything about basketball, and it wasn't very long before we learned we didn't know a whole lot. And that's, that was kind of the fun part of it. That's later on. Now that I'm 48 years old, I could say that's the fun part of it. At the time, it just seemed like a lot of grueling hard work and a lot of studying and preparing for games. And now I definitely see why we did that.
How's the family doing?
Everybody's great. Everybody's good. Kids are ready to start back at IU and IUQI, and I got one that started at Carmel this week. So everybody is a go right now.
Yeah, everybody's been moving in here at IU. I've seen all the students moving in, the parents everywhere. It's a big week. So do you get all that stuff?
I will be there in a few hours.
All right, man. Well, if you need any help, call Jake. He's ready to go.
Yep, will do.
I'm kidding. Jake, you got to play his music on the way out. The Toddfather. Thank you, man. I appreciate you joining us. Let him hear it, Jake. Let him hear it. The The Toddfather joined us each and every week. Todd Lee, brother, I appreciate you as always. Hope you have
Thanks,
a great
boss.
weekend. If you need any help, seriously, let us know, and we'll be there to take care of you.
I'm good. I appreciate it. Thank you, though.
All right, buddy. Todd Leary, the Toddfather, joining us here on the program today. We appreciate him as always. Jake, you going to play his music? Yeah, because I can't hear it, so I hope it's playing. There you go. All right. Thanks a lot to Todd Leary joining us each and every week as always. Thank you, sir. All right. That's what a great show as always. Tom Brew was on with us earlier. We heard from Tom Allen. Ooh, Tom days. Waiting for a decision from Deontay Craig. Texting to the show from Josh. He noticed that a lot of crystal balls are picking Iowa. Yeah, I saw that too, man. I didn't look at it before, so I didn't know if they were already set that way. But I think some of them had switched from Indiana to Iowa. So, Josh, I think you might be right. Looks like IU might be missing out there. We'll find out. I hope not, but we'll certainly find out as he makes his decision today. And that announcement will come later on this afternoon sometime. I think he's just going to do it on Instagram, just like Trey Galloway did. And but yeah, I noticed that too, Josh. A lot of crystal balls swinging Iowa's way. So hopefully that's not the case, but it's usually not a good sign. We'll certainly find out. But a great week on the program this week. We had a great time. Thanks to coaches Todd Yeagley and Erwin Van Bennekom. On Wednesday, we were live from Bill Armstrong Stadium at Jerry Yeagley Field over at the soccer complexes. We had a lot going on over there, so it's been a busy week. And heading out to football practice today as they head into their last practice before their scrimmage tomorrow, which will ultimately determine who that starting quarterback is going to be. I expect we might be hearing that announcement sometime next week. Also, Deontay Craig is going to make his announcement, like I said. So a lot of things going on over at the Fowl Family Golf Course in Bloomington. I think the dedication is today. I'll be there to cover that as well. We'll have all that for you on Monday and, of course, on social media over the weekend. But appreciate everybody joining us there. Make sure you follow Tom Brew for that article he's got out on Michael Penix as well. You can find me on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB. But that's going to pretty much wrap it up. Jake, we good to go? Appreciate you. Hope you had a great week and you got a great weekend coming. For Jake, I'm Jim Coyle from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. I will see you on the radio.